Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of our Book Direct webinar series. I'm just sharing my screen now. Thank you for all of you for tuning in this morning. And see we have people from all over the world. We've got Australia, Ibiza, Wales, the UK. I've seen Brighton on there. This is great. We've got a real mix of people joining. And so welcome to anybody who is joining us for the first time as well. For those of you who don't already know me, my name is Jess, and I'm in the marketing team here at Lodgify. Lodgify is a cloud-based, all-in-one vacation rental software which offers website templates and a website builder, a booking engine, reservation system, and channel manager, which allows you to connect to all the top booking portals like Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia, and so on. In today's session, we're going to take a look at how Google works and how travelers are searching in order to show you some of the most important factors which will help your website appear in the search results. As well as this, we'll cover how you can track website performance with Google Analytics, what you can do with Google Search Console, and we'll see why you need to submit your sitemap to Google. Just a reminder in case anybody can't stay for the whole webinar. I'm seeing a question here of how do we activate the sound? If you can't hear me, please say something. No, I mean, I don't know how we can do this. The sound should be on. Let me just check from my side. As far as I'm aware, my sound is on. Okay, I think the sound is all good. Okay, we can hear you. Thank you, everybody, for the feedback. Perfect. Okay, let's get back to it. So, like I was just saying, so if anybody can't stay for the whole session, I will be sending the recording afterwards with the full presentation, so you don't need to worry about missing anything. Okay, without further ado, if everybody can hear perfectly, let's get started. Google will come as no surprise to most of you, is the most visited website in the world. 73% of all internet searches are happening on Google. And it's not just an important site for anybody using the internet to do their own research, to find information, but it's also the site that you, as a business owner, need to keep happy if you have a website of your own. Every time you search for anything on Google, you'll see hundreds of thousands of results showing you the most useful or relevant first. But how Google figures out which results to show starts long before you even start searching. Google uses software known as web crawlers to discover publicly available web pages. They look at those pages and follow links on them, just like a user would. When crawlers find a web page, Google takes note of these key signals, for example, keywords, website freshness, and keeps track of it in the search index. Then, when you search something, in milliseconds, Google's secret algorithms sort through billions of web pages to find these most relevant and useful results for what you're looking for. Sometimes this might be presented as a map with directions, or as images or videos, and so on. There we go, my presentation is working. So now we have an overview of how Google works. Let's think about the different ways travelers use Google to search for their vacation rentals. One of the most obvious choices is listing sites. Online travel agencies such as Airbnb, Booking.com, HomeAway, Expedia, VRBO, all of these are gaining more and more popularity with travelers due to the sheer volumes of properties available. Listing sites provide them with an option to compare like-for-like properties and amenities in order to find the most suitable property for their dates. Other travelers will search by location. They might not have a specific neighborhood in mind, but they'll have an idea of the city or area and go from there to narrow down the results. And another way that guests search for properties is by using specific keywords on search engines like Google. This may be something broad like apartments in Melbourne, or something more focused and detailed, such as gay-friendly accommodation in Canberra. We'll take a look at an example shortly. As well as these methods, travelers are looking at reviews more than ever. They'll be sifting through results filtering from high to low for star rating and reviews. So you want to make sure your property has enough reviews and that they're really representative of what guests can expect at your place. So let's take a look at an example which takes into account all of these different methods. So I've just opened up Google here, and I'm going to imagine I'm searching for a property in Lisbon, Portugal. And I'm going to start by searching for Lisbon vacation rentals. I can see it's lagging a little bit, so I'll try not to go too fast. There's quite a few people connected. So as you can see, Google is giving me more than 4 million results for Lisbon vacation rentals. And all of the top results, well, the first ones, of course, are ads, because we know that these big brands are paying for the top positions through Google AdWords. And even when we scroll down, the next results are also from Booking, from TripAdvisor, from HomeAway, and we're seeing very few property owners' websites on this first page of results for a broad search term. But what happens if we change this search result to the maps view? Let's have a look. Okay, so we are still seeing one ad, but we're getting a few more results which look like they are not owned by the big travel agency. One and have a look. And as I suspected, something they do have in common is this has its own website. Let's check another one. And again, we're seeing that this one has its own branded website as well. So I'm going to go back to the results. And what if I refine this search a little bit more, to be more specific to what I'm looking for? So let's say I want 4 bedrooms. As you can all see, by adding these search parameters, the Google Maps result actually turns into the travel booking portal that you may have seen before for flights or hotels. And we can see many more options than before. And we're actually seeing more and more as we zoom in, and we're seeing the prices. Let's have a look at one. So let's have a look at this entry, the Lisboans. This is actually showing up as a hotel would. Let's have a look what happens here when we click book a room. So although this is an ad, it's still telling us to check website for rates and availability. Now this is basically free advertising for you from Google, because if we go down, we can see that they do have their own website, as well as all of the other things we can see. So we can see the highlights here, top rated, great dining, great breakfast. We can see some reviews about the neighborhood. We can see the details and all the reviews on here. So this is a really great way to search for accommodation nowadays. And it's also a really great way to drive traffic to your website from Google. And it's showing us just how important it is to make sure your website appears here, because a booking.com or Airbnb is not going to cut. It's not going to cut it here. So let's click through to their site and see what it looks like. So straight away, we can see a clear brand up here with the logo. And we can see a number of other things they're doing really well. We've got these great full screen photos, very high quality and looking very nice. Good amount of staging in the pictures. There's a nice introduction here, as well as a special discount for those who book direct, offering a percentage off at the on-site restaurant, which is a really nice incentive. We can also see these logos of other places they appear, which acts as social proof. I can really, I could look on to these different websites and see that this business is legitimate and it's real. We can also see that they have the full contact information here in the footer. And now this seems like a very basic move, but it's great for local SEO, as Google is reading this and saying, okay, this is in this part of Lisbon and these are the contact details. As well as this, we've got the social media links and about us and contact details. So that's really good. We covered a lot of this in our first episode of the webinar series about website best practices. So if you haven't watched that one yet, it's over on our YouTube channel, and I think somebody did ask about it in the questions before. So if you check the Ask a Question section, you can head over to our YouTube channel and watch the first episode. So in order to get one of those cards for your website in Google, what you need is a Google My Business listing. Now, this is a free business profile, which really helps your property to show up in Google Search or Google Maps results. And once you're verified, it's important to encourage guests to review your home on Google as well as your website to increase visibility. What I want to note here is what I said before about the brand name with the Lisboans. So having a strong brand name is going to be absolutely essential so that guests or future guests can check you out on Google, they can see your listing on Airbnb, they can compare against your website, and they can find the best price. A lot of travelers are doing something that we call window shopping, and that is looking around the internet for the best deal. And for many of you who have followed the book direct movement that's cropped up in the past few years, that's really the messaging behind it, no? To give the best price on your website so that you get a higher percentage of direct bookings. So the main point to take away here is that in order to appear on Google Maps, you really need a Google My Business listing. And this will also give your website more authority, and it will also act as a catalyst to send more visitors to your site directly rather than simply to your listings on the other channels. When you have your own website, you also need to understand what people are doing on it, and that is where Google Analytics comes in. Google Analytics is a free tool which tracks and reports website traffic and activity. Using Google Analytics, you can find out a lot of insights about where your traffic is coming from, what your audience looks like, how long they're spending on your site, which pages they're visiting, and so on. So I think it would be a good exercise to take a look at how Google Analytics works with a quick demo. I've already got Analytics open here, prepared. So this is the home view of Google Analytics once you've set it up for your site. And you can see a few things here at a glance. You can see how many users are on your page right now. You can see the total number of users for the last 7 days or whichever parameters you choose. And you can see where they're coming from and so on. So let's have a little dive into some of the main features that I really like about Google Analytics. So by clicking on Audience, we can immediately see an overview of how many new users have visited in the last week. You can also change the dates up here. You can see how many sessions this accounts to, the average time that they spend on your pages, and the bounce rate, which is the percentage of site visits that are just a single page session. So that basically means, guests are coming to your website, they're visiting the homepage, and they're leaving without viewing a second page, such as the gallery or the availability. You can also see how many pages they're viewing each session, and you can find out a bit about the languages and so on. If we also click onto the Demographics tab, we can see a quick overview of the age of your typical website visitors. In this example, we can see that the majority are between 25 to 34, and the next biggest range would be 35 to 44. And you can also see the gender of them. So this can really help when determining your promotions or how to target audiences. For example, on Facebook or Instagram, if you're doing any paid ads, you might want to take advantage of special events or holidays. things like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's. You can kind of deduce this from having a look at who your audience is. Now, if we head to acquisition, we can see where your users are coming from. Now, this could be organic search, referral, social media, and many other channels. These will all appear in the acquisition tab, and you can see which percentage of them and what their behavior is like. Then if we click through onto behavior, we can take a more in-depth look at the pages that users are visiting. For example, by clicking on site content and landing pages, we can have a look at the sessions that each of your pages receive. How many people are checking out your homepage or your availability calendar? And how many of these are new sessions, what the bounce rate is. Again, these kind of metrics you'll see all over Google Analytics. So while each business may want to track different metrics, some of the main key performance indicators you can track are really audience, traffic sources, page tracking, and goal conversion. I've included a link here on the presentation so that for anybody who hasn't set up analytics for their Lodgify website yet, you can easily do that with the help of our knowledge base, a simple guide to getting that set up. It's really important to understand what people are doing on your website in order to optimize and improve it so that you see better results. An additional tool that you can use to optimize your website is the Google Search Console. This is a free service which helps you to monitor, maintain, and troubleshoot your site's presence in Google search results pages. So if we think back to the beginning of my presentation and what I explained about web crawlers and links, by registering your website on Google Search Console, you make it easier for Google to find and crawl your site, as well as fix any indexing issues and show which sites are linking back to yours. The main steps to complete are to add a website property and to verify your site ownership, which again, I've included the link here for Lodgify users because I know there are a lot of you tuned in. So just in case you haven't done that yet, you can easily click through to that after the webinar has ended when I send the email. There are other actions that more advanced users can complete, but all the information can be found on Google Search Console and the guides that they provide, for using Google Search Console. The final step that can really help presence on Google is submitting your sitemap to search engines. For those of you who are listening and thinking, what on earth is a sitemap? It's basically a file which contains a list of all your website's pages. So by submitting it, you are giving Google this information, and it allows Google to crawl your website more intelligently. It also communicates to the search engine when the page was last updated, how often it's changed, and if there are any versions in any other languages, which, as we saw in the first webinar, having multiple languages for your website is super important for SEO and for getting those rankings in different locales where you're trying to attract guests from. It doesn't take long to generate and submit your sitemap to Google, and the results can really improve, especially if your website is new and has very few external links linking back to it. There are free online tools for sitemap generation. So if you just type in sitemap generator on Google, you'll see tons of free tools, and you can use any of those in order to do it. So to summarize, Google provides multiple free tools for tracking your website's performance and improving the positioning of it on Google. And it's really worth it to take advantage of them, whether you've just built your business and your website, or you've had one for years. For those of you who are yet to put the wheels in motion to build a website, Lodgify does offer a 7-day free trial for all new users. And you can easily build your site and test out all the other features of our software without any obligation to commit. As well as this, you can find lots of helpful content and tips and guides across our blog and resources section of our website. You can read the success stories of other property owners who have built their website and run their businesses with Lodgify, and even check out some website examples. So again, these links are all in the presentation, which I'll send over after the webinar has ended. So I'm just going to check in with Stefan to see how the questions are coming along. We've had a few coming in. So I see somebody is asking about Google My Business. And this is, I mean, it is one of those topics. We have seen a lot of people get registered and some people find it a bit more difficult. I think the only way to know is to try, because there are certain rules you have to abide by. So if we go back a few slides to have a look, I know that some people have had success by setting the business category as hotel, property management company, or vacation home rental agency, as vacation rental isn't actually permitted, so to speak, because you need to be able to show your opening hours. But this one, for example, is a vacation rental business. We've seen their website and they just are listed as a hotel. So depending on the services you provide, you may be able to get verified or not. And this is obviously something that's completely, Lodgify does not have anything to do with whether Google lists you on Google My Business or not. But it's just a case of trying and seeing if you can get verified. Let's see if are there any other questions. Okay, there are no other questions on here. So in that case, I think we can draw the webinar to a close. If you do think of any other questions now the session has ended, you can reply to the email we will send out and someone will get back to you with an answer. We will also be offering anybody who hasn't yet tried Lodgify the chance to have a call with one of our specialists to find out a bit more about your business needs. So you'll find the link to that in the email that we'll send out shortly. So for joining us today, and again, any questions at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch, and we'll send out more emails in the coming weeks with the next webinars. The next one will be about promoting your website and getting your website, marketing your website for free on organic channels, so without paying anything. So watch out for that one, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.